Hello friend, welcome back to Acre Homestead. If you were with me yesterday when we went grocery shopping and did the grocery haul, I was a zombie. I got 4 hours of sleep that night and my goodness, was I done by the end of the day. Last night I got a good amount of sleep and I'm ready to tackle the day. Today we are going to prep all the food for the dinner party we're having tomorrow. The first thing we need to do is actually cook this pumpkin. This is a fairy tale pumpkin that we grew in the garden, and I think I might grab one more because we're gonna make pumpkin pasta. This is my mother-in-law's recipe, and it is so good. The first time I heard about it, I was like, I don't know, pumpkin pasta? That sounds a little bit weird. It is so good, and I'm excited to share this recipe with you. I haven't made it in quite some time. I don't even know if I made it last year. So today is the day for this party that we're having. I'm gonna prep all the food today. So this is a great way if you're gonna host a party to have it be as stress-free as possible, because tomorrow I can focus on kind of just tidying up the kitchen the last bit, make sure the bathrooms are clean, make sure I get the floors clean, and I don't have to worry about cooking and cleaning on the same day. Now, I have never eaten a fairy tale pumpkin before. This is the first time I've ever grown a fairy tale pumpkin, and it smells really good. It almost has a fruity smell. It almost smells like a cantaloupe, which is kind of odd. So I'm really excited to try this for the first time. So the first thing we need to do is cut it, core it, and de-seed it. We've got a big menu today. I think we're making 5 or 6 different recipes today. We're gonna make the ingredients we need for a cocktail. We're gonna make a spiced cranberry cocktail, a shaved Brussels sprout salad, creme brulee, which I've never made before, but it's one of my favorite desserts. All the recipes can be made easily in advance, so that's gonna make tomorrow so easy. Okay, I think I'm gonna go grab one more pumpkin. I also wanna get the table set up for the dinner party, and I wanna decorate my front porch for fall. We went and bought a couple things to decorate with, and I want to get those decorated. Here are the pumpkins we grew in the garden, and the idea of cutting into any of them is making me a little bit sad. Maybe let's try this one. This is a banana pumpkin, and see what it looks like on the inside. This one I'm probably not going to decorate with because it's not the cutest pumpkin, and I've never grown this type of pumpkin before either. This one is much lighter in color and does not quite have quite of a sweet smell as the fairy tale pumpkin does. The chickens are gonna go bananas for this pumpkin, no pun intended. They're gonna be so excited to get the guts of these squash. I don't know if I'll ever grow this one again because it doesn't have that rich of a smell. I was so excited to grow this banana pumpkin, and I'm a little underwhelmed with what it looks like on the inside, but time will tell once we bake it up how it cooks. So I have my oven preheated to 400 degrees, and we're gonna bake it in this baking dish. I might as well cook this one up too, because I'm not gonna decorate with these pumpkins. And so we'll just cook this at the same time. I know this is gonna be more pumpkin than we need for the pumpkin pasta, but that's okay. And now we're gonna get this in the oven and cook it for probably about 45 minutes to an hour or so. And while this is cooking, we'll do a couple other things. We'll actually do a lot more than a couple other things. We're gonna get the whole dinner party prepped, basically. So in the oven this goes. I went ahead and I got some breadcrumbs. I had some stale bread that needed to be turned into breadcrumbs, and we will use that for a recipe in just a minute. Let's go ahead and get the Brussels sprout salad all put together because this isn't gonna take very long. If the idea of inviting people into your home and feeding them has ever felt overwhelming and stressful, and you're not even sure where to start what menu to make. Are my guests gonna like the food? How do I know what is the important things in my house to clean? And all the nitty-gritty details of hosting a party. My mom and I have created a digital course that walks you through step-by-step on how to equip and empower you and give you the confidence you need in order to invite people into your home. Whether you've done it before and it's just been super stressful, or if you're brand new to the idea of inviting people into your home, I want to let you know that that course is now available, and I can link it down in the description box below. My mom and I's hope is to give you the confidence you need in order to invite your loved ones into your home so that you can create lifelong memories with them, and that will be down in the description box for you. I have to say, I've been looking forward to this day for quite a while. I love getting in the kitchen and just spending the day getting ready for a party especially. I mean, I always love spending time in the kitchen, but I just love kind of the prep, the feeling of anticipation, the excitement. I enjoy this part just as much as I enjoy the party. And I'm really looking forward to these recipes. Some of them are tried and true, delicious. The pumpkin pasta I know I love, and I know that my friends love it too. This is one of their favorite recipes as well. And so that's awesome that I know I'm making a dish that everyone will love. I know all my friends love creme brulee because when we go out to dinner, if we get dessert, typically that's what at least one of us will order and will share, because it's something that, oh, I'm putting those in the wrong one. You don't typically make at home. And so it always feels really special to order it out. And so I'm really looking forward to kind of pushing my culinary skills and trying to make it at home. And so when I experiment, especially when I'm cooking for multiple people, I always find it's good to do at least one recipe you know is a winner, and you know you have confidence that people are going to enjoy it. I know people are going to enjoy the creme brulee. It's just a matter of if I can get it to turn out. And if the worst of the worst happens and it doesn't set or turn out, I could send Josh to the grocery store to pick up a dessert. But I think we'll be able to do it. I think I have it in me to make it. It actually looks really easy. This salad I am making up. I looked up a bunch of recipes online. There wasn't one that I was like, I love all the components of that salad, so I'm gonna follow that one. So I just am using all the recipes that I found online as an inspiration, and then I'm using what I have on hand and what I think will taste good together. I'm gonna put those ingredients together, and we're gonna make this salad. If I didn't mention it earlier, all these recipes will be linked down below. I'm gonna add pistachios to our salad for the crunch element. I was thinking pumpkin seeds would be really good, but I didn't wanna buy them because I knew that I had these on hand and I thought I should just use up what I already have. These are dry roasted and salted. I'm just gonna run a knife through them just to give them a little bit of a chop, but not much. Some of them might be whole still, and that's okay. The next thing we're gonna add are some cranberries. I'm just gonna stick those on the side of the salad here, and we'll mix those in when we mix up the salad. And then I have some feta cheese we'll put on when we mix the salad. And so now that we have all the components, we have a crunchy, a sweet, a tangy, and a savory. Let's make the dressing. For the dressing, we're gonna make a poppy seed dressing, and I'm gonna make it in this mason jar. The first thing we're gonna add are 2 tablespoons of poppy seeds, salt, black pepper, a 1/4 cup of half and half. If you don't live in the United States, half and half is half cream, half milk. So I'm sure you could substitute either for this. A 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, a 1/4 cup of white sugar, a teaspoon of mustard, and 3/4 cup of mayonnaise. I'm gonna put my leak-proof lid on. I love these things. I can link these down below. And I'm gonna shake this, and we need to taste this to see if we need to adjust any of the seasonings. One of my favorite salad kits from Costco is the salad kit that is almost exactly like what I just made. It's got this sweet poppy seed creamy dressing, and that's kind of what I'm going for. That salad kit also has kale in it as well. I'm not adding kale, but that would be good too. That's delicious. I'm trying to think, does it need anything? It has a good zing to it. Whenever I buy those salad kits at Costco, I always add vinegar. This has the perfect balance of the sweet, I think especially with the cranberries. This is perfect. So we are done making our salad. I most certainly won't use all this dressing for tomorrow's salad, so I'll have a little extra for later in the week. But I'm going to cover this and put this in the fridge. And our side for our dinner party tomorrow is done. How easy was that? I am super excited to dig into the salad. So now let's go ahead and start our pumpkin pasta. No, let me try to think. We can get the pumpkin pasta started next because by the time we're ready to add the pumpkin to the sauce, it should be done cooking. And we need to boil a pound of water. We need to boil a pound of pasta. So I'm gonna get some water going so we can get this on the stove to boil. While that's filling up with water, I'm gonna slice one onion and we're gonna get this finely chopped. That kale salad is phenomenal. It made a beautiful lunch after the party for the next couple days because it was made with Brussels sprouts. It held up beautifully. And that's one thing about when you have a party is that it's great if you make too much food. Sometimes that's something that, we worry about. Are we going to make enough food? Well, my mom and I typically err on the side of a little too much because when you're hosting an event, sometimes it can be a lot of work. And so it's nice to have some leftovers that you can either send home with your guests as a party favor, or you just did yourself a favor and you now have some prepped meals so you don't have to worry about cooking for the next couple days. So the goal of our e-course is to teach you to enjoy the whole process from start to finish. I probably did not need to add the butter to this sausage. I didn't really think about that. So I am gonna take a paper towel. This is my favorite way to drain grease. And it's one of the only ways I really use paper towels is I just use it to sop up the grease and then I can just toss the towel away. I do want to leave just a little bit though because I'm going to saute the onions in here. So that looks like a good amount. So I'm going to go ahead and get my onion in here sauteing. I'm going to use this onion along with a little bit of salt to deglaze the bottom of the pan. And while this is continuing to cook, we're going to start on the dessert. I want to make sure though I get up all these brown bits off the bottom of the pan. So now for the creme brulee. This is something brand new to me. I've never done. I've made custards, I've made puddings, I've made things kind of like this, but I've never made this. And I'm excited to try it. So we are going to put we're going to put 4 cups because I'm doubling this recipe. So I'm putting 4 cups of heavy cream in this pot. The recipe I'm following for this is from the New York Times, so I'm sure it's going to be good. It had over 5,000 reviews and it had like 5.9 stars. So if it doesn't turn out, it's probably going to be my fault, not the recipe's fault. So here I have 2 vanilla beans. I normally would not use vanilla beans. I normally would use vanilla extract because I don't keep vanilla beans necessarily on hand, but I just bought 50 vanilla beans for making homemade vanilla extract. So I happen to have these, so I'm going to use them today. But you can substitute vanilla extract for the vanilla bean if you don't have vanilla beans on hand. So I'm going to go ahead and take a second here and score each one of these vanilla beans. These are probably the freshest and most beautiful vanilla beans I have ever bought. They're plump, they're soft, and you could smell them through the Amazon package. I can link these down below if you want to make your own homemade vanilla extract. I bought what I needed to make the vanilla extract at the store yesterday with you all, so I might as well, since I have a cutting board out and a knife, get that project going underway while I'm at it. These are, I think I bought grade A vanilla beans. Yes, normally I buy grade B vanilla for making homemade extract, but they were not super expensive to buy the grade A, which are a higher quality vanilla bean. And so I went ahead and bought the grade A this time. Vanilla extract is one of my favorite Christmas gifts to gift, and I need to get that going so that it will be ready in order for it to be out in time for Christmas. If I don't feel like the vanilla extract in this bottle is ready for Christmas gifts, I have a half gallon of vanilla extract that's been sitting for over a year in my pantry. And what I'll do is I'll end up gifting that, and then I will use this if I feel like it needs more time. And I was watching Business Insider. It's a YouTube channel that kind of like highlights different, well, the ones I enjoy are the ones that highlight different food groups, and they kind of tell the history of a food group, like the most expensive salt in the world, or vanilla beans, and why vanilla is so expensive. Vanilla has gone down in price over the last couple years. It had skyrocketed. It was almost not even affordable to make homemade vanilla extract, but it's come down about halfway. And I watched a whole like 20-minute thing on vanilla, and I did not know that the vanilla bean is actually the seed pod of an orchid plant. And they were having a fungus issue. So that is what was causing the prices of the vanilla to skyrocket. So the vanilla pods are harvested when they're green. They boil them, and during the boiling process, that's what turns them brown, and that's what brings out the flavor. They wouldn't taste like vanilla if they didn't boil them. So I'm just slicing them down the middle. When making vanilla extract, or any extract for that matter, coffee, lemon peel, lime peel, orange peel, you want to make sure you're using 80 proof or higher, and you can get really creative with the alcohol. I'm using vodka today, but you could use rum or bourbon, whiskey, whatever you want to experiment with. I've never done this before. I probably should. I'm going to take a Sharpie, and I'm going to put that it is the date today, just the month and the year. I probably ideally should have got this project going a month or two ago, but I think I'll just end up gifting what I already have on hand, and then this will be for Josh and I's use. I'm gonna set this in a cool, dark location, and it's just gonna continue to steep for the next couple months. I can smell this pumpkin. I think it's almost done. Oh yeah, it is super soft to the touch, so it's tender. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out of the oven. I put the parchment paper down just because I know that pumpkin can get really sticky. So it's just for ease of cleanup. So I'm gonna turn the oven down, because for the creme brulee, we need the oven set for 325. And I'm gonna let this pumpkin cool just a little bit before we scoop out all the good stuff. For the pumpkin pasta, I need the equivalent of one 15-ounce can of pumpkin. It's hot. So I'm just gonna eyeball that. I'm gonna use the Cinderella pumpkin first because I think it looks more delicious than the banana pumpkin. That's way too hot to touch. So I'm gonna let that cool for a little bit longer. While that's cooling, I'll finish up the sauce other than the pumpkin. I'm gonna add 1 puck of garlic, and then we need to add 8 ounces of cream cheese. I had this one block in my fridge that's not quite 8 ounces, but I have another one, so I can add that one to this as well. I also need to add the pepper flakes and some oregano. I think our pasta's done. I'm gonna add some black pepper, a cup of milk, a cup of Parmesan cheese. Probably should have measured that out first. Stir that in. I have the stove off now because we don't need this to continue to cook, because this is a baked pasta, so we'll bake it in the oven tomorrow right before the party. I was over here taking the pumpkin out of the fairy tale pumpkin, and I flipped over one of these banana pumpkins, and you never really know, because this banana pumpkin texture on the inside is super silky, and it is more dense and creamy and way less watery than the fairy tale pumpkin. So that is so interesting. You never know until you open it and cook it up how things are going to cook up and look. This is so silky and dense. It's not watery at all. The fairy tale pumpkin was a little bit on the watery side. This is probably enough pumpkin. This is probably a little bit more than the equivalent of a 15-ounce pumpkin. And I will finish getting all that out and getting that in the freezer for later. But we can put this into our pasta sauce now. I'm just trying to break it up a little bit so it's nice and smooth. And we'll get our pumpkin into our sauce. I did reserve some of the pasta water in case we need that if the pasta sauce is a little too on the thick side. Get this mixed in. Before I add the noodles to the sauce, I want to give it a try. I just turned on the creme brulee. We're supposed to heat this up on the stove, so that's what I'm doing. I turned it on low because I'm not going to be paying 100% attention to it. That's delicious. It's hard to go wrong with those flavors when you've got garlic, sausage, cream cheese, Parmesan cheese, a little bit of heat, a little bit of herb notes. It does need a little bit of salt. So I'm going to add the salt, stir that in, and then I'm going to try it one more time. It is pretty thick, so I'm glad I reserved some of the water from the cooking liquid of cooking the pasta, because then we can thin it out if we need to. Yeah, it's kind of thick. Oh yeah, so good. Always remember to taste your food so you can adjust the salt levels, pepper levels if you need to. So let's add a little bit of our cooking liquid. Always keep just a little bit of your pasta water. It's got some starch in it, so it's not just like adding water. And it also has salt in it because I did season that water before I boiled my pasta. I'm just going to stir that in. I think I'm going to add a little bit more. This is going to sit in the refrigerator, so it's going to have time to absorb more of the liquid. So I'm okay making this pasta a little bit on the runnier side than I normally would, just because I know it's going to sit in the fridge. Ooh, I don't know if that's going to fit. I was hoping I could bake the pasta in this dish. I was able to get it all mixed in and the sides scraped down and clean. I want to bake it in that dish, so it's just one less dish for me to have to clean. And now we're going to make the topping for this baked pasta. I normally don't do this, but I thought I would give it a try because I have some garlic butter in the freezer I made up. So I put about 2 tablespoons of that garlic butter in this bowl. I melted the butter with the garlic, and then I put in my breadcrumbs and I stirred those around just to add a little bit something extra to the breadcrumbs. If you don't have garlic butter, go ahead and skip that step. I just thought, you know what, it's a party, let's try something a little bit different and a little bit special. And it turned out really, really good. So now I'm going to put the lid on this and I'm going to get that in the fridge, and our main dish for our dinner party is all done. And I don't have to think about that until tomorrow before the party. I've got these extra breadcrumbs. I'm going to get these jarred up. I'm putting some water on to boil because we need to cook the creme brulee in a water bath. So this is almost ready. So since that's almost ready, I'm going to go ahead and get the eggs prepared. We need 10 egg yolks. So I need to separate out the whites from the yolks. And then we're going to mix in sugar to the egg yolks. So this is kind of like making a custard. I'm going to save these egg whites and do something with them. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I'll have to figure that out. So to the egg yolks, we are going to go ahead and add 1 cup of granulated sugar and a pinch of salt. We're going to mix this together. Our milk is almost, or cream I should say, is almost done. It doesn't need to boil or anything, you just need it hot. Our cream is steaming. You don't want it to boil, you just want it to steam. I'm gonna fish out, if I can. I know they're in there. My vanilla beans. And I wanna extract as many of the seeds out of them as I can. This right now is where you would add your vanilla extract if you were using vanilla extract. I'm pretty sure I put 2 in there, didn't I? Did I only put 1? I guess I only put 1. I thought I put 2. Okay, so I'm gonna use the dull end of my knife and I'm gonna scrape out all the seeds. Those are the vanilla seeds. We're gonna get that in there and I wanna get those to mix up and incorporate into our cream. Now I need to temper these eggs because I don't want the eggs to burn, or not burn, I don't want them to scramble, cook. So I'm gonna slowly pour in my cream mixture while stirring. I'm always paranoid I'm gonna scramble my eggs. I think I wanna put a little bit more cream in this before I... Oh no! Oh, I found it. That's so funny. Look at that. Okay, I'm gonna extract the seeds from this one too. I thought I put 2 in there. That's so funny. My original plan was to make pumpkin creme brulee, but I'm a little pumpkined out from pumpkin desserts because if you watched, we made 5 different pumpkin desserts together. And so I thought that this would be a nice touch, just a nice vanilla. It's almost yellow because those egg yolks are so fresh from my chickens. Now this recipe said it makes 4. I doubled it, so I was supposed to get 8. Well, I'm gonna make 9, so each one is just gonna be a little bit shy. And what should I do? I think I'm gonna pour this mixture into my fat separator so that I have a nice easy spout because I don't wanna spill this. And then I put my ramekins in my roaster pan because the water bath. We need to cook this in a water bath. And just perfectly, this roaster pan fit all 9 of my ramekins. I'm gonna just try to evenly pour this. I'm gonna go really light. I'm not gonna fill it all the way up because I wanna make sure that I have enough for 9. Look at that color. You can see the black speckles. I'll show you, I'll bring you in close so you can see the black speckles in a second. Oh, I think we're gonna easily be able to fill all 9 of these. I'll just have to adjust the cooking time a little bit, knowing that they're gonna be a little bit thinner. Another one of my favorite desserts, and one of my friends' favorite desserts, there's this really nice dessert place in Portland called Papa Hyden's, and in high school, we would go on the weekends and go get dessert, and they had, I don't know, like 40 or 50 different desserts on their menu. And one of my favorites and my friend's favorite was a raspberry panna cotta. That seemed a little bit more intimidating to me. That would be great for a dinner party as well, because you make those ahead of time and then they're refrigerated. It's a refrigerated custard, so instead of using eggs to thicken it, you use gelatin. And this I thought would be kind of fun for a dinner party because it's going to be a little interactive, because we will be able to put the sugar on the top and, you know, torch it. And that would be kind of a fun thing to do together. So when we would go to this dessert place in high school, we would go like on a Friday night or a Saturday night and we would get a dessert and we would get fries with it. So that was fun. Maybe like after the movies or something. We felt really fancy. We couldn't afford to eat dinner there, but we could afford an $8 dessert and a side of fries. It was fun. Okay, so there's a little bit left in here. I'm gonna try to stir. Because I whisked this so much, there's some like foam. I don't really want all that foam on top, I don't think. I think I'm gonna let this sit here for a minute and let the foam kind of dissolve. Maybe I shouldn't have whisked it quite so much. I was a little bit aggressive with that probably because I didn't want to make scrambled eggs. All the little black dots in that custard, those are all the vanilla beans. I've got my boiling water right here. I'm gonna bring this over here, and what I'm gonna do, it didn't say to do this, but I thought that just for safety, instead of putting the boiling water around my ramekins and then having to carry this over to the oven, what would be safer, I'm not as worried about dropping it and spilling it, I'm more worried about getting the boiling water in my custard. I'm gonna put the creme brulee in the oven, and then, I should have done this earlier, I'm gonna rinse out my water. I'm not rinsing out my water. I'm using water to rinse out this fat separator because it has a spout. And I'm gonna use this That didn't go as well as I wanted it to. The one that I got the boiling water in, I'm gonna mark so that I know, and that's gonna be mine. Okay, this is better. If I just pour from the edge here. You know what I could do? I could push those over, so now I've got about a couple inch margin right there. That's the thing when you're making new recipes, is sometimes you don't think through these types of things until after you've made them. Okay, I'm gonna put that ramekin back, close this, and I'm gonna set a timer for 20 minutes. It says 30 to 35 minutes, but mine are a little bit skinnier and I don't want them to overcook. So we've got our main, our dessert, and our salad done. We've got a bunch of breadcrumbs that are extra, and I have all this extra pumpkin. This is all of, we used all the fairy tale pumpkin in the pasta tonight. This is the banana pumpkin. This pumpkin cooked up way better than the Cinderella pumpkin. I think the Cinderella pumpkins are cute, and I want to grow them probably again next year for decoration. But for eating, this banana pumpkin wins over the fairy tale pumpkin for sure. So I'm gonna get this bagged up, and I can use this for some other recipe, maybe a pumpkin pie or pumpkin curry. Let's see, I didn't want to make a mess. So this is how I am doing this. When I freeze pumpkin, what I like to do is freeze it flat so that when I go to thaw it, it thaws in minutes as opposed to keeping it in a big chunk It takes forever to thaw. So in the freezer this goes. So the next thing we get to do is we are gonna make one of the components for the cocktail. We're gonna make a spiced cranberry juice, and you could drink this just like this. It's almost like a mulled cider, like apple cider or something like that. We're gonna turn this spiced cranberry juice into a bourbon cocktail. And this is cranberry juice that's not sweetened, so I am gonna have to add some sugar. And I'm cutting the recipe in half because it calls for 62 or 64 ounces of cranberry juice. And I don't think we're gonna go through that much, so I'm gonna cut this in half. I'm gonna turn the stove on. And because that one initial bottle was not sweetened, I am gonna add a half a cup of sugar. This is where the spice part comes in. We're gonna add 2 cinnamon sticks, maybe 3. Then I'm gonna add a thing of ginger. This is ginger that I ground up myself, and we're gonna let that simmer for 40 minutes. I've never thought about making spiced cranberry juice for the holidays, and I think that's a brilliant idea. I would have never thought about it if I hadn't have found this cocktail recipe. And you could serve that warm. I've never had warm spiced cranberry juice, but I can only imagine, I'm sure I'm gonna taste it once that's done simmering. This can be delicious. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the dishwasher loaded. I unloaded the dishwasher right before we got started so that I could clean as I go. When it comes to hosting parties, I really like to make sure that before the party happens that I have my dishwasher unloaded so that after the party, I can immediately put dishes into the dishwasher. I don't always get the kitchen fully clean after a party. So what I like to do a lot of the time is I'll get the dishwasher loaded right after the party with all the dinner dishes. I'll turn it on, and then I can unload and finish the dishes the next day and put it away. Whenever I have a party, I usually use some of these cups that I've collected that I've got at thrift stores over the years. We're gonna set the table here in a minute, and a lot of those have to be hand washed too. And so I usually will do that the next day. It doesn't all have to be done on the same, like the day of the party. I've got a whole bowl for the chickens. I'm gonna go run this to the chickens, and then I think what we're gonna do is we're going to set the table. If at all possible, I do like to have the table set the day before people come over so that I don't have to think about that. And then for dinner tonight, Josh and I will probably just eat. Oh, we could probably eat outside at the table. But we might eat watching TV or something so that we can keep the table looking pretty. This is how I currently have my table. These are pumpkins we harvested together from the garden. And I know that I'm gonna need to take this up because it's not gonna match the tablecloth I bought. I just bought this tablecloth with you all yesterday, and I need to open it very carefully because I don't know if it's gonna fit. My table only seats 6 people, and there's gonna be more than 6 people here tomorrow. So I'm gonna have to pull out one of my folding tables to extend the table. And I really want to use this tablecloth for both of them. I probably yesterday could have figured out if this was gonna fit or not. This is not gonna fit. Okay, so all right, so friend, this tablecloth wouldn't even fit. Oh, friend, okay. Nope. So even if I wasn't putting the extra leaf in, this isn't gonna fit my table. So that's good to know. I'm gonna fold this back up nicely, put it back in its box, and I will return this. I do think this is a pretty tablecloth, but it doesn't fit. So I'm gonna use my tablecloths that I've had for years. They're hand-me-downs from my mom, and they work just fine. So let's go ahead and get this table set. With stuff that I already have on hand. Friend, the house is smelling incredible. I'm telling you that cranberry cider on the stove with the ginger and cinnamon is amazing. That is going to be one of my new favorite holiday beverages, especially in the winter. Keep that on the stove, put a couple slices of orange in there, maybe some clove, and even a sprig of rosemary at the very end. Phenomenal. A very yummy twist to say your traditional apple cider. Now, I'm going to show you how I'm going to take what I already have on hand between gifted, hand-me-down, and thrifted items, and we're going to make a beautiful tablescape. And we are going to go out into the garden and grab some garden flowers and goodies to really liven up this table, even though we're using things that we've already had on hand, and we're going to make it feel special. The timer's going off for the creme brulee, and it said it needs to just be set. You want it to jiggle just a little bit. So let's see what it's looking like. Those are still pretty jiggly. So I'm gonna give it another 5 minutes because it said 35-ish minutes and they've only been in there 20. A couple other things that are still on the list that need to be done today to make tomorrow an easy breezy, beautiful party day that's going to be relaxing before everyone gets over is we are going to prepare the bread so that can rest overnight, and we'll bake it in the morning so we can have fresh baked bread. And then we're also going to make a charcuterie board tonight and get the centerpieces for the table made. Oh yeah, I think these are done now. They're just jiggly. It does not say if we're supposed to have these cool outside of the water or inside the water. I think probably outside the water. It says to let these ramekins cool completely, and then we need to refrigerate for 4 hours or overnight. So overnight is what I'm gonna do. So this is the one that I spilled water on the top, and it's sitting on the top. So I think I'll be able to pour that off, but I'm gonna mark that that one's mine. With the dinner, we're not gonna need a spoon or a fork. We will need a spoon for dessert, but I don't end up putting that on the table right away. And so I'm just going to put the napkin in the center of the plate with a fork on top. If I had a spoon and fork and knife, all three, I probably would have put the napkin on one side with the spoon and fork, or spoon and knife on the other side. But I think this looks a little bit more balanced. The table right now looks like it could be for any holiday, but in just a second, we're about to zhuzh it up for fall, and we've got our little mini white pumpkins we're going to set down on the table, and then I've got these little orange pumpkins I'm going to put on the windowsill. So I have the table basically set up, and I thought it would be nice to have the white pumpkins on here. We're gonna go run out into the garden and grab some eucalyptus to put on the table, and then it will officially be done. I used to do all my bouquet making from flowers from the garden inside, and then one day it dawned on me, why am I not making my bouquets outside, keeping the mess outside instead of bringing it all inside and then having to deal with the mess inside. So I've got 4 jars. I want to get some flowers because I want to put some flowers in the powder bathroom to make it a little bit festive. And then for the table, we will put the eucalyptus. Let's do this safely. I wasn't gonna do any flowers for the table, but since I'm doing white pumpkins for the table, I think white cosmos would be beautiful with the eucalyptus. I have a little bit more eucalyptus over here that I'm gonna grab. Oh my goodness, look at what I just found. A snack for the chickens. That's a little overripe, but the chickens will love it. I thought my Rebecca was done for the year, but there's some new blossoms on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab, if I can get three of these, 1 for each jar. This is my second succession of zinnias here. I'm gonna harvest these for the powder bathroom. It'll just be a monochromatic bouquet, and I think it's gonna be beautiful. So here I have all my ingredients for my bouquets. I've got some Rudbeckia, cosmos, zinnia, and eucalyptus. And I'm gonna go ahead and make these bouquets right here. First one, I'm gonna do zinnias because this is gonna be really easy. I'm just gonna pull all the foliage off because we don't need this in the jar. Broke that one. Eucalyptus is one of my absolute favorite scents, and it is mind-blowing to me how well this eucalyptus did this year. Now, one thing that I think I should have done from the very beginning of the season is I should have snipped the top of it off because they do branch. And I think that if I had snipped the top of the eucalyptus off, then it would have branched sooner and I would have gotten more stems. But I started my eucalyptus, according to the experts, 2 months later than I should have indoors. I should have started them in January because they're very slow growing. And I think I started them in March. So maybe 3 months later than I should have. And they still produced really well. Now it is kind of up in the air whether they will overwinter. And so I am curious to see how well they're going to do this winter and if I can have them return. Overwinter means become a perennial, meaning that they will come back next year and I won't have to plant them. These are silver dollar eucalyptus. I am going to see if I can pick up a couple of different varieties of eucalyptus and try to grow a couple different varieties. But how romantic is this simple bouquet that we were able to make out of just a few flowers in the garden? I'm going to take all this and I'm going to throw it over my fence and let it compost in my field. And I just kept all that mess out here instead of bringing it inside. 3 of the prettiest bouquets I think I have ever made. They're romantic, they're beautiful. I think I might grab a couple more cosmos. Well, maybe not. I think they're beautiful just the way they are. Plus that one's really cute. This little bit of extra I'll just leave here, but I will go ahead and bring these inside, put some water in them, and we'll get them on the table. Another thing done. Eucalyptus is one of my absolute favorite scents of all time. And there's supposed to be a perennial in my area, or at least at the last homestead. So I'm hoping I can get my eucalyptus to perennialize. Time will tell. We'll know next season if it comes back. Now that we have the table set up, I want to set up this outside area for fall. These are 2 rugs I got at Target yesterday, and I'm not going to need to return these. I like these rugs. Unfortunately, that tablecloth is going to have to go, so I bought 2. I've seen people do this online. I think it's so cute, where you stack rugs. So we're going to put this here, make sure my door can open. Oh gosh, well that's going to be a problem. If I can't open my door, oh shoot. Shoot. My door doesn't open. Well, I just took the tags off too. I have a storm door, so that's not super practical. Well, maybe I will be returning this top one. Darn. They had shorter ones, I think, but they all had sayings on it, and I didn't really want sayings. So that's this one. Well, I'm going to keep setting it up. Darn it. I'm just going to put it there because it's going to make me happy for a few minutes, but that's going to have to be returned. So I love the way that that turned out, if only that rug was practical. So that rug's going back, but overall I think it looks really cute. And then I've got a little pumpkin over there that I just put on that little ottoman. So I also purchased these two mums, and I'm gonna put these on the back patio so I can see them out of my kitchen window. I had my two green stalks where I just put these two mums here, and I thoroughly enjoyed looking out at them when they were in full bloom out my kitchen window. And so that's why I decided to put these two mums here along with the pumpkins that we grew together so that I could see them every single day. I like the way my front porch looks, but honestly, I don't look at my front porch every day. And so this was a great way that I could enjoy them by having them on the back deck. Now, mums in my area are perennials, so I am going to try my best to keep these mums alive, and then I'm going to put them in my landscaping, so hopefully we can enjoy them for years to come. Now I'll be able to enjoy my pumpkins from my window. This smells so good. So now we're going to strain it. It's been simmering for long enough, so I just turned the heat off. I'm gonna let that juice completely cool before I stick that in the fridge, but I'm gonna go ahead and get the charcuterie board made now. This is not gonna be the fanciest charcuterie board, but it's still gonna be really beautiful. I don't have a specific charcuterie board. I just use my wooden cutting boards, and I think that works just fine. And I can get these nicely laid out, except for the crackers. I'll put the crackers on tomorrow. I don't want them to get soft in the fridge. So we've got salami and some pepperoni. I'm not gonna open the Boursin cheese either until tomorrow. I think these pepperonis are pretty the way that they're laid out, but they look a little stiff. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and just unstiffen each one. They'll be easier to pick up that way too. Maybe we'll go in a diagonal like this. For the salami, I'll fold this in half. Oop, okay, those are pretty stuck together. I'll eat this one. Maybe like that. I don't have a fancy charcuterie board, but that is okay because I can just use one of my wooden cutting boards as a charcuterie board and it works just fine. I love charcuterie boards or any sort of like appetizer or thing that you can kind of have out when your guests arrive because it just kind of gives them something to do. And who doesn't like cheese and crackers? Cheese and crackers were one of my favorite lunches growing up, and it's still one of my favorite things to this day. Now, I did learn something here. Don't cut the cheese on the board you want to use as a charcuterie board, especially if you're going to use a really, really sharp cheese like this because it kind of makes a mess. So I was trying to think I could clean up my mess and still use this board, but then I decided to scrap it. I just pulled out my other cutting board and we're going to use this cutting board instead. So I did pick up 1 cheese and 2 of the pepperoni and the salami to make this board, but the other things that I'm going to put on the board other than the crackers were things I already had on hand. So when you make a grazing board or a charcuterie board, you can really go over the top, or you can, make it still really beautiful with picking up only a couple things and then just using what you already had on hand. So I enjoy this process. I'm just going to take the different things I have and spend, I don't know, probably took me about 10 minutes or so rearranging things and moving them around until I felt like it looked really beautiful. I have 3 cheeses here. I've got a really sharp white cheddar cheese. That's the one I'm organizing now. I have a Swiss cheese, and the Boursin cheese is a chive garlic cheese. I thought it needed one thing. I wasn't planning on putting any fruit on this board, but I had these dried cranberries that were left over from the salad. So I put those on there, and I'm really glad I did, because one of my friends put on one of the crackers some of the Boursin cheese and a cranberry, and it was so good. So good. So you can see here, I've tried a couple different things, and I just keep kind of rearranging until I think it looks pretty. And I realize it needs one more thing. So we're going to run to the garden. I feel like the charcuterie board needs a little bit more color. So I'm going to run out and grab some carrots from the garden, and we can get those sliced up. And then I'm going to grab some radishes from the green stalk, and we're going to get those sliced up as well. It's starting to rain. Oh my goodness, friend. Oh my goodness. That is a huge carrot. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to look up what variety of carrots these are. Look at that. I can't remember what varieties I planted. I have never grown carrots this big before. They smell so good. This week, we are going to harvest the carrots. My dad came over today in the middle of cooking, and he said, "Is there anything you need help with in the garden?" I said, "Well, if you want to help me pull carrots, yes." Okay, this is incredible. They smell so sweet and earthy and delicious. I harvested more than I need for the charcuterie board, but I know that I think these are Bolero carrots. I planted Bolero and one from M.I. Gardner. I can't remember. I'll let you know what these are so you can know what these are, but these are beautiful. I've always had the best luck growing carrots later in the season. I planted these, I think, in like June, and that's beautiful. That is so encouraging. It's been raining for the last week and a half, like torrential downpour straight. I took some test carrots, I don't know, maybe a week ago, and they weren't this big. I think the last week of rain has really helped. So here I'm at the green stalk, and here I have radishes. This will add some nice color too. I've done a couple plantings of radishes in here. I went ahead and put the cracker bag on here, and I'm gonna, just so that everything's together, I'm gonna put my radishes there because that's cute. Or no, maybe I'll stick my radishes here. There, now they're nice and piled up there and you can see them really well. Building a charcuterie board is like Tetris a little bit. Put that there. That helps. The carrots and the radishes help bring some color to the board. And the olives too. Carrots here too. So our charcuterie board is done. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it. I just put the crackers on here just so that everything would be together. And then I'm gonna wrap the whole thing in saran wrap and pop this into the fridge. And then all I'll need to do is unwrap it tomorrow and open the bag of crackers. then I'm gonna wrap my salad, because I haven't done that yet. And I'm gonna wrap my creme brulee. I think I'm gonna put them on this because it's lighter than this cutting board, less likely to drop it. I almost forgot I am making some bread as well for a side. So I have 1.5 cups of water. I have some salt. This is a no-knead bread, so it's gonna sit overnight and then I'll bake it tomorrow. Oh, I need to do my yeast. Getting ahead of myself. So I have salt, and then I need just a 1/4 teaspoon of yeast, I think, or it might be a 1/2 teaspoon. 1/2 teaspoon. We're gonna let that sit for just a second. I normally don't like to add my salt to my water when I add the yeast. I like to let the yeast and water alone sit, but that's okay. I think it should be fine. While that's sitting, I wanted to let you know I got my dishwasher started. I do have a few dishes in the sink that I need to get to, and I'll do those in just a minute. I will wipe the counters after I get all this back in the fridge. I wanted to show you, this is what the charcuterie board looks like. We're gonna get this in the fridge, and then remind you we've got our pumpkin pasta, which smells incredible. And then we need to give our juice a taste test. Creme brulee is going in the fridge, and I want to taste this carrot. And we've got our salad all wrapped up and ready to go. Once we have our bread mixed up, the only thing I'm gonna have to do tomorrow is cook the bread, or bake the bread, I should say, and then bake the pasta. And I'm gonna bake the bread probably in the morning before my friends get here. This is the juice. Oh my word. This could be the new holiday beverage, just like this, warm on the stove while you have your party going. It smells incredible in my house right now. The scent it's giving off when your guests come in, if they smell this instead of hot apple cider, you could even do half this, half apple juice. Oh my gosh, so good. Okay, so that is good. That's basically almost cool, and then we'll get it in the fridge. I need to wash this carrot just a little bit more. Cut the root off. Let's give this a try. I know people rave about garden fresh tomatoes and how delicious they are. Garden fresh tomatoes are fantastic, way better than store-bought. The humble carrot is so underappreciated when it comes to garden fresh. They are night and day compared to what you get at the grocery store. I like carrots from the grocery store. Garden fresh carrots are like candy. Now I'm gonna add my flour. This is the easiest bread recipe. If you've never made bread before, start with this one because it's so easy. It's those 4 simple ingredients. You mix it together and then you let it sit overnight, and I'm going to show you tomorrow how to bake it, and we're going to try to make it into the shape of a pumpkin. I've seen a bunch of people online do that, and it's really cute, so we're going to see if we can do it. You just have to mix this together until all the flour is hydrated, not kneaded or anything, because it's gonna knead by itself sitting overnight. Just like that, so you don't need to knead it any more than that. Something I've started doing with my bread baking lately is I take a damp cloth, and instead of just putting a dry cloth, and I put a damp cloth over this. I do want to put a little bit of oil on top of this. I just bought spray, and I'm not sure where I put it. I did it. I got everything in the fridge. And the door's closed. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all the counters wiped off, and then I need to clean my stove because there is a little bit of grime on my stove. I did spill a little bit when I was cooking the pasta, but overall I did a pretty good job keeping the kitchen pretty clean. I do need to just run the vacuum over the floors and maybe spot mop. And then this evening, I am going to just tidy up the powder bathroom, and that's all. I will see you back. Oh, I want to show you. I did set out a little station because I'm going to be making a cocktail while people graze on the charcuterie board. It's going to be a spiced cranberry cocktail with ginger beer and bourbon. And so I got a little station here. I got glasses out. I don't own cups, so mason jars. I'm going to make the cocktail in the mason jars. And then I've got this little station where I will make it when people are grazing on the charcuterie board. But that was a really great day. I have basically everything ready for the party. I just need to attempt to make a pumpkin-shaped loaf of bread, put the pasta in the oven, pull out the charcuterie board, dress the salad, and that is it. So I will see you back tomorrow when we start doing all those things. I'll show you what it all looks like. Oh, and then for fun, we get to torch the creme brulee on the top, which I'm really looking forward to. I think that's gonna be a fun activity and kind of a way for people to interact at a dinner party. See you tomorrow. Good morning. Let's get this loaf turned into a pumpkin if we can. So I've got the dough here and I'm going to turn it onto itself. And the first thing we need to do is shape this just like we would if we were going to bake this into a round loaf. So how I do this is I pull the ends to each other at the bottom, and I keep pinching the ends together until I get a nice tight ball where the top of the dough is nice and smooth, and I get all the bottom parts pinched nicely together. Once I have that, then I take a piece of twine and a little bit of flour and I tie that at the top. And I did give myself a little bit of space so that when the bread rises in the oven, that it's not going to have no room to move. I end up doing 3 pieces of twine, but I think if I did this again, I would probably do 4. So the pumpkin would have 8 sections instead of 6 sections, but this ended up working really, really well. So now that we've got our dough with the twine on it, I'm going to put a little bit of flour on the top and I'm going to cover this and let that rise for 30 minutes while the oven is preheating with the Dutch oven inside it. We're going to bake this bread in the oven inside a Dutch oven with the lid. Now, one thing I forgot to do before I put this bread into the oven is I forgot to score it. So you're going to see what happens because I forgot to do that. Now, when you are using a Dutch oven in the oven, I always keep my pot holders on the top and on the sides to remind myself that that Dutch oven is now 425 degrees and you do not want to touch it. Here you can see it exploded on the side because I forgot to score the bread, but it's still, I think, super cute, and I know next time that I am going to need to score it. I was just so excited to bake the pumpkin. So this is baked. I baked it for 30 minutes with the lid on, and then I removed the lid and I let it bake for another about 10 or 15 minutes until it was fully cooked through. I am going to remove the twine before I serve this loaf of bread, so I just do that now while it's hot. You could probably do it when it cools. I don't think it really matters. And then I do end up taking a cinnamon stick and I stick a cinnamon stick in the middle for the stem. I wasn't going to do that originally, but I think it ended up being super cute, and I'm really glad that I used the cinnamon stick to make a stem. So there it is. Welcome back, friend. The party is in about an hour, or that's when people will start arriving. So I went ahead and pulled the pasta out of the refrigerator so it could not be so cold going into the oven. I thought I would get some butter out to come to room temperature. Probably should have done this a little bit ago for the bread. I was watching some videos and I saw this video pop up in my feed of making a garlic cheesy bread where you cut the top of a loaf like that and you stuff it with cheese and garlic and all these yummy things. I had too much time on my hands. We've just been relaxing all morning after I got that bread done. I did unload the dishwasher, so that's ready to go. But I thought there's garlic, the breadcrumbs on top of our pasta are garlicky, so I'm just gonna leave that like it is, and then we're gonna run downstairs and go grab some jam so people can put jam on it. That will add another flavor element to our dinner tonight. I also wanna go ahead and get out the charcuterie board, because when you eat cheese, it is best if it's not refrigerator cold. You're gonna taste it and the salami a little bit better. And then a couple of the people weren't able to end up coming, and so what I did is I reset the table without the tablecloth, and I got rid of the extra table. And because I didn't have a tablecloth, I had enough of the placemats that I already owned, so I went ahead and reset the table just a little bit so that it fits the number of people coming tonight. I also now have extra creme brulees, so what I thought I would do is do a practice torch session with one of these creme brulees. So I've got a little bit of sugar here. I've got my torch. I made sure it has the butane in it, and we're gonna go ahead and torch this and give it a taste test before people get here, just to practice and to see how it is. Once people get here, it might be kind of busy. I pulled some games out. We're gonna play games and it's gonna be fun. And so I wanted to make sure I was able to show you what this creme brulee is gonna look like. Normally creme brulee, when I get it at a restaurant, is not this yellow, but I used my farm fresh eggs, so it is pretty yellow. Those little black dots in it are the vanilla beans. And I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit of sugar on the top. The recipe said 1 teaspoon of sugar, but I don't think that's quite enough. I don't wanna add too much sugar, because if the layer of sugar is too thick, then what could happen is I could caramelize the top, and then there could be uncaramelized raw crunchy sugar at the bottom, which is what we don't want. What I learned is you need to turn the torch up. I have this torch way too low, so I end up turning it up to high power. And then I realized that there is definitely a sweet spot of how much sugar you put, because if you put too much sugar, then it takes too long to torch it, especially if you torch it with this tiny little flame, and it warms up the custard, which you don't want. You really want a nice crunchy crust with cool custard. And so because I had this flame so low, I'm turning it up. I did warm this custard up a little bit, but after doing a couple of these, I definitely was able to figure out the sweet spot. And so it kind of worked out that I had a couple extra to practice, but now you can see that I turned the torch up. The sugar is starting to caramelize, but I end up grabbing, I've got a bigger torch that works a little bit better. Even though this is a creme brulee torch, I do have one that is a little bit more powerful that does a better job torching the sugar. I don't know if that's enough. This is good, we're practicing. I don't think I put enough sugar on there. It's starting to smell a little bit like egg in here. And I don't want to scramble the egg. So I'm gonna put another layer of sugar on the top, because we definitely want to have that crack. If you've ever had creme brulee before, the top should crack. So maybe that's the key. You have to do it in a couple layers. Maybe that's too much sugar. We're figuring this out together. Okay, that's looking better. Okay, that looks perfect. So I'm gonna let that cool so that we can do the test crack. I think we may have done it. Just got some jam for tonight, I think. Oh yeah. Do you hear that? Okay, let's give it a try. Looks creamy. Doesn't look like I overcooked it or undercooked it. Got some crunch and custard. The biggest thing is I just don't want it to taste like scrambled eggs. You see all those speckles in there? That's all the vanilla beans. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna go have Josh taste it. If you need a dessert that is easy, make ahead, and fun and interactive with your guest, try making creme brulee. Absolutely phenomenal. And what would have been really good, I don't know why I didn't think of this, is to sprinkle some fresh raspberries on the top. Friend, this is one of the best things I've made in a while. So good. Josh is so impressed, which is half the fun. Now we're gonna decorate our pumpkin. I forgot to score it, so kind of exploded over here. I'm just gonna take a cinnamon stick. I almost didn't do this, but now we've got ourselves a true pumpkin. Maybe I'm gonna do like that a little bit. How cute is that? My friends are about to get here at any moment, so I'm gonna take a second to unwrap the charcuterie board. So as soon as they get here, they've got something to munch on. And on this day, I probably only spent a total of about 20 minutes actually getting ready or doing anything for the party, because I was able to do everything on days leading up to the party, so that on this day, Josh and I really got to hang out as a family and just enjoy this Saturday. We were able to relax, and the only thing I really had to do was shape the bread and then now get the charcuterie board out, bake the pasta, and slice the bread. So if you are interested in learning how to have a hassle-free hosting event, I want to remind you that my mom and I did create a course in order to help you do so. Our goal is to empower you to be able to invite people into your home, to create lifelong memories without the stress that can come along with that. And on this day, there was zero stress because I was able to do all the stuff I needed to do before the party, plus on the day of the party, I knew exactly what I needed to do, and I had it all planned out, and it was a stress-free event. My goal is to create lifelong memories with my friends, and I hope that my mom and I can help empower you to do the same. Good morning, friend. It is Sunday. Not morning, it's afternoon. It's 3 o'clock. Last night after the party, we had so much fun. We hung out, we ate good food, we had good conversation, we played some games. After everyone left, I was able to get the food in the refrigerator that was left over, and I was able to get my dishes in the dishwasher, and the dishwasher started. This morning I went ahead, I got up, I unloaded the dishwasher, and then we had a family brunch to go to this morning. So I didn't finish all the dishes, so it's now 3 o'clock. I'm home for about 2 hours, and then we're heading to a family dinner tonight. And so I don't have to do any cooking today, which worked out perfect after all the cooking we did this weekend. Plus I have probably about 2 lunches of pumpkin pasta for Josh to be able to enjoy this week. I do have in the oven a baked oatmeal, so Josh will have that prepped. So I decided to go ahead and get that done on this morning. And then I got all these dishes hand washed. These are the cups that need to be hand washed, and I'll get those put away. And then I'll finish cleaning the kitchen, just wipe the counters, and that is that. I went ahead and I got the cloth napkins in the laundry, and it's all put back together. So I hope this was encouraging to you to kind of see how my brain works on planning a party. We spent the whole week together shopping for the party, setting up for the party, and enjoying the party. Don't forget to check out the description box where my mom's and I's e-course is down there on hosting if you are interested in that. Plus all the recipes, if you want to see all the recipes, they will be linked down there as well. Thank you again for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. I hope this gave you a little bit of confidence. Maybe the next time you want to invite people over to your house, some tips and tricks on what I do to try to make it easy and enjoyable, from having the idea of the party all the way until doing the dishes. I don't mind doing the dishes after I have a party because it means that I had a party and I was able to spend time making memories with the ones I love. So I hope that this encourages you. Please consider subscribing if you're new, and if you want to see more of my content, I can go ahead and put a couple videos here you can go enjoy between now and my next upload. Thank you for being here, thank you for being you, and I can't wait to see you next time.